Shabazakish, Nishistu, Hirshatuhi. Greetings, relatives. My name is Gregg Castro. I'm Totral Salinan, rumsien and ramaytush Ohlone, California Indigenous activist, and have been working in archaeology and with archaeologists for nearly 30 years. Currently, I am the Native American Programs Committee Chair for the Society of California Archaeology. And were we to meet in real time, I would hopefully be greeting you in the words of my ancestors in my ancestral homeland of Yalamo, which you know as San Francisco. But here we are. This is the world we live in. And it is something that Native people have become accustomed to doing, living in the reality of the times they are, and living with the people that we're living with. Our Creator gave us the commands, the knowledge, the obligations to take care of the land that we were placed on and to take care of all the living things on it. And although we did not anticipate getting guests as we have for the last 250 years, the obligations and sacred commitments we have are still the same. And we want to take care of the land and the people on the land that gave us birth and has nurtured us for thousands of years. I'm honored and humbled to be able to address you today and to maybe speak a few words of my perspective here in California, working on behalf of my Native communities and advocating for other Native people throughout California to be involved in archaeology. And if one knows the history of California archaeology, as some of my elders have asked me, it's like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to be a part of it? And the answer is really simple. Archaeology deals with our culture. Wherever it is happening, it is most likely happening about our culture, about our heritage, about the very essence of who we are as Native people. It is not a business for us. It is not an avocation. It is not a passion for us. It is much more than that. It is the very life and heart and spirit of who we are. And wherever it is discussed and spoken about and queried, then we should be there as well in some form or fashion. And really, we are there. If you're speaking of our ancestors are in there. And so we should be with them. And that is something I've told many of the Native people I've come in contact with who ask me that question of why I've become involved with archaeologists. And of course, that question is less often these days. When I first started in working with archaeologists, and I'm not a trained archaeologist or degreed, but I've learned much from my archaeologist friends over the years and have come to know them personally and deeply, appreciate them, but still understand the issues that Native people have with the system, profession, and science of archaeology, especially its past. These are things that still yet need to be addressed. In the meantime, though, I think as individuals, we can all do something. This is my effort as an individual and on behalf of my Salinan and Ohlone tribal communities, is to become involved in archaeology, to be a voice, or at the very least, a presence in the room when our culture is being discussed and talked about and analyzed, to remind people it isn't just artifacts. It's not just data. It's not just spreadsheet numbers on a white screen projected with laptops. It is much more to us than that. It is the very essence of who we are. It is a living essence that we intend to nourish, nurture, care for, and convey to our descendants. And we tell it from our viewpoint. We believe we have a science that is as equal as any other when we're talking about our own culture. And of course, in modern times, dealing with climate change, dealing with wildfires here in California, dealing with the effects of modern civilization, many of the scientists of European persuasion have come to understand that perhaps Native people do have knowledge, do have a science that is valid and can be brought to bear on the problems of today in a way that is very meaningful and perhaps more advanced than what has been brought to bear so far with European science. So they're coming to our elders and our culture bearers, asking for knowledge and information, and beginning that torturous process of collaboration that should have been done many, many decades ago and generations ago, and has been done by a few, but needs to be done in a collaborative and across the board way from now on into the future. My little efforts here are just to bring and encourage Native people to be a part of the process. And one of the ways that often happens is at conferences where they can meet and interact with people that are dealing with California culture all across the state, and even in their own culture, to sit in and listen to the papers being presented about their culture and other people's culture and understand the process. And that slow process has been happening for a long time now, to the point where we have Indigenous scientists, Indigenous PhDs in archaeology. We have leaders of consulting firms. We have teachers in archaeology now, and that is slowly building and becoming stronger and more prominent, as it should be, and bringing that unique perspective. We don't say we want to supplant science, we want to bring balance to science with our own science. Balance is a very deeply felt concept among most Indigenous people here in California. Balance just means a perspective that might be different than what you know, but has equal validity and equal impact, especially in modern times when we're studying archaeology to look for clues about climate change and how it affected wildlife. Perhaps if they just asked our scientists directly, and some are actually doing that now. So we are in this long overdue process of collaboration, cooperation, and sharing of knowledge, and perhaps the inklings of genuine respect for our knowledge, as people have come to call it, traditional ecological knowledge, TEK. But it's not just an acronym. It is a life way that has been fomented and refined over thousands and thousands and thousands of years of intimate contact with our homelands. And that is the essence that I want to share. These are our homelands. These are the places that Creator put us in to take care of these places, to care for and steward them as a gift and as a sacred obligation and commitment, not as a right that we have and not as something to own. Indeed, some of our elders tell us we don't own land, the land owns us. We have important things to share, we believe, and we encourage you to ask us. Thank you for listening to me.